and it's another beautiful day in the Pirate Broadcast, and we are live, and we are streaming to a few platforms today. And if you have any questions, please drop them into the comments here, and I'd love to try to get you an answer as soon as possible. So today we have a speaker and a writer and an awesome individual. Lisa, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great, Russ. How are you?
I'm excellent, excellent. So, we're connected on LinkedIn and we're having a conversation. We had a conversation a while ago and we were talking about different aspects of, life and liberty and pursuing our goals and our mission and some of the things that we're doing. And, a lot of times we have, regular life that hits us in the face. And, it's like, okay, we have things that we have to get done with things we want to get done. And you've been doing a little bit of both, working and transitioning into what you pursue and what you love. And tell us a little bit bring us up to speed about what that is and what you're focusing on your passion. So
Sure. Thank you so much. I first want to just share that the Russ experience on the Pirate Podcast is amazing. All your behind the scenes processes, I really appreciate them. Having been on other podcasts, it's a wonderful experience to join you today. So thank you for all you do behind the scenes.
Oh, thank you. That's so kind. I have my admin Mel, who is also my sister, and I have a team of people that help me put this all together. So I got to give them credit. And one of the things that I love about this is that I've spent years in broadcast and radio and technology and all that kind of stuff. And building this system for the Pirate Broadcast has allowed me to build systems that I can share with other people. So I'm producing the Pirate Syndicate, so I can actually help a lot of other business owners and people and individuals that want to be on there that don't necessarily want to hassle with the headache of technology. They just want to show up and do the work, do the broadcast, and then we do everything else. So that's on the way, and we can talk about that in another episode. But I want to focus in on you, Lisa. I want to focus in on, the fact that you're writing and you're creating content and you're getting it out there in the world. And I know you have other things that you're doing. So I want to share with everyone, what are you writing about? What's your focus in your writing and development that you're going with in your life?
Sure. Thank you. So I made a decision a couple of years ago. I do work full time, so I do this on the side in my spare time. And I made a decision to help others with their journey of returning to work after a gap. Because I was fortunate, I had the opportunity to stay home with our 3 boys for 12 years. And then I went back to the workforce, and that was a huge challenge, just trying to figure out, how to start, where to start, how not to spend a lot of money doing it, how not to spend a lot of time trying to upgrade, just all those kinds of challenges that you face as a mom or as somebody who's had a gap, trying to go back into the workforce. So I just want to share a little quick story about, how I kind of first started back. So, I was a mom, so what did I do? So I decided, okay, I need to be professional. So I went out, got a haircut, bought a new suit, thought, how am I going to start networking? Because honestly, after being home all those years, it was a challenge. So our purchasing group at the time was called PMAC, and they had a free event that was coming up in Toronto. It was at the Weston Harbor Castle Hotel right on Lake Ontario, beautiful spot. So they were having a free sustainability event, and I thought, great, I need to get educated. I need to update myself on what's new and happening in the field of supply chain. So I challenged myself. I thought, well, how am I going to really prepare and get the most out of this event? So I made myself a little networking card, got on my suit, got my haircut, got my free pass, hopped on the GO train, which is a 45-minute ride into Toronto, and spent those 45 minutes just telling myself, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say hello to people, tell them where I'm at, what I'm looking for, see if there's any opportunities. And so I did. I showed up at the hotel. And before I went into the event, I kind of collected myself. I stood back from the entrance,
Well,
gave
it's not
myself,
as if you're going into networking every day, right?
no, I mean,
This is like a new adventure for Lisa.
yeah, I mean, my focus had been fish crackers and cartoons and all that kind of, the world of kids and being a stay-at-home mom, right?
Right.
So here I am at this huge event in this beautiful hotel, and I'm all set to go. I've got everything. So I stand back from the entrance and I kind of give myself a pep talk. I say, you know what? You're no different than them. The only difference is you don't have a title under your hello badge. So I
Uh-huh.
thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to walk through that door and I'm just going to have fun with it. And that's what I did. And the most amazing people were at the event. It was an incredible educational update on sustainability and what was happening in the industry. And one of the ladies I spoke to amongst a couple hundred people that were there was actually the editor of the Supply Chain magazine. So I was
Really?
sharing my journey with her, just, telling her what I was doing. And she invited me to write an article. And so that's how my writing career started.
She invited you to write an article?
Yeah,
That is
about my journey
fantastic.
about getting back to work.
You know, uh, we talked about having challenging. I'm getting some feedback right here, so I am going to adjust this. Okay. That's okay. Let's see if we can fix this. I'm gonna mute this mic. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Well, that's a gymnastics. Holy cow. All right. So if you're on LinkedIn and the broadcast just happened to show up, I was streaming to Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, but not LinkedIn because apparently LinkedIn kicked me out of the account. So anyway, however, we are on every other platform. So Lisa, we're getting a little feedback, but can you hear that, or does it sound okay?
Yep, I hear you. You're good.
Okay, cool. So you wrote an article. You started writing for this magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and so where did that take you? Where did that little snippet of interest and activity and joining a networking group, showing up? Because showing up is so important, and we have to show up in order to accomplish anything, right?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I mean, just taking that first step and just having that little bit of momentum, I
Mm-hmm.
think really helped, just helped your confidence, right? I mean, you've been at home all that time, you're not sure about what the work world is like. You're jumping into a room full of hundreds of people and presenters and vendors, and just, are they going to accept you? That's huge, right? And I think if you just relax and have fun with it, you'd be surprised where you can go.
Oh, it's amazing how far you can go and here's the thing is, and Pirate Broadcast is proof of this, is whatever you love to do, just go do it and be consistent. It doesn't take massive action overnight. It takes consistent action every day. And that's really what it's all about, is just show up, do the work, continue to be there, and then people will get used to seeing you. And then all of a sudden, you're the resource, you're the person that they they want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that was just kind of the beginning. Obviously, I did find a job a couple months later, and I was jumping back in kind of at an entry level position. And I
Hmm.
stayed in that position for a few months. And then it wasn't in supply chain, unfortunately, but that company had a planning department. So my probation was coming up, and I decided to put my hand up for the position that came available in planning. So you can imagine my boss was not happy, but I was lucky in
Go,
that she,
go.
yeah, in that she supported me to move up internally. So that was a good step.
Oh, that's
I
fantastic.
then, yeah, it was fantastic. You know, it's sometimes it's hard to get that support, but I was honest when I went into the interview for the first position that I had there and said, you know, I really want to get back into supply chain someday. So they knew that that was kind of a goal that I had in the future. And neither of us knew that that would come in so quickly in 3 months, right?
Right.
Um, but we all looked at it positively, and I told her, you know, I can help your team so much more on the other side because I know exactly the questions you have on this side.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so I was lucky. She was a good person and let me go forward.
Isn't that great to have a mentor that actually really enjoys helping?
Yeah, for sure. It makes a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference. And the thing that we have to appreciate is that leaders help others lead. You know, they lift each other up, they encourage everyone around them, and it's just amazing. And it's just so refreshing when somebody is in your life like that. You know, I'm sure you
Yeah.
had a few people that have been like that. You know, even online, we were talking about Wendy, and you know, she's such an encourager. There's so
Oh,
many
yeah.
people that I've had on the show that have been, you know, little tips like Hanny you mentioned that
Yeah.
you know, little ideas that they share that you can actually produce results with all the time. And it's just so it's so wonderful. People are great and they love to help. I think inherently everyone is kind and has some generosity built in. And if you just allow people to be themselves, you know, and not beat them up or beat them down,
Yeah.
it's really encouraging to see how much we can grow.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we all have something in common, some little tidbit that we're trying to accomplish that, you know, you may be in a different industry or in a different position, but at the end of the day, that commonality can help both of you find solutions that you never really thought about in the first place, which
Right.
I find so fun.
So after you got that, and now you're in logistics now.
Yes, yeah.
Um, that's an industry that's made some major changes and still
Yeah.
changing. And like right now, supply chain, for those that don't know what supply chain means, can you kind of explain that? Because it's an important industry. It's like critical to our survival, right?
Yeah, and that's being challenged a lot right now.
Yes.
Especially here in Canada. I don't know if you know, we have obviously we have the challenge of what's going on overseas,
Hmm.
and locally we have also our Canadian railway is basically it was at a stop, at standstill for a couple weeks. I'm hoping that the situation gets resolved fairly soon. I haven't seen anything to say that we're up and going uh, again. We're kind of, I think, still trying to work through those challenges,
Mm.
which I'm just going to cross my fingers they resolve themselves soon. Because supply chain involves getting the goods, you know, from where they're produced all the way to your location, and then you being able to get it to your customer, and your customer getting it to their customer. So it's a whole end-to-end process of
Yeah.
logistics, and there's so many variables along the way, and so many challenges that can happen. Example, the current environment right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's yeah, we're just crossing our fingers here in Canada.
So I would anticipate that, you know, all of those challenges create circumstances where you have to get really creative. And that creativity spills over into your writing, I would anticipate. I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
the side effect that you can enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, on my side hustle, I'm kind of trying to get women and those who've had a gap
Uh-huh.
to look at going back to work, but I also want them to focus on negotiating. So, negotiating is huge in supply chain, and that's kind of where the two kind of come
Oh,
into play together. So, I want people to think about, it's not just your salary that you need to be concerned about. It's all those additional forms that you don't think about your educational reimbursement, like professional dues, professional days off, even days off paid for philanthropy, like volunteering events.
mhm.
All those kinds of things can really help you feel like you're contributing at a different level than if you were just getting your salary, right?
Right.
And it adds up so much over the course of your career that some people don't realize it's critical for that first career position to negotiate because there's stats that say if you negotiate $5,000 more for that first career over the course of your 40-year career, it can make between 600 and $1 million more.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. It's a huge impact. And I think a
it
lot of
is.
people now are also negotiating for time away, rather than 2 weeks off, they're
Yeah.
looking at potential sabbatical every
Yeah.
so many years. The ability and the opportunity to change from being a valued employee to being a number to be replaced is, I think, evolving as well. Companies are realizing that it's not as easy to, replace good employees, and
Yeah.
it's a costly endeavor. Replacing an employee is expensive,
Hmm.
and training them, getting them up to speed, and the culture and everything about it. So, we need to have our negotiating skills, and we need to be able to do that. So, what are some skills that a lot of people are interested in negotiating for? What are a lot of elements in that negotiation, whether it's time, money, education?
Yeah, so I mean, there's it's just endless. I mean, if you have a home office, maybe you can negotiate, getting some of those that type of equipment paid for. Or if you're into fitness, maybe you can have them help you pay for your fitness membership.
Mm,
Like you mentioned, if you're interested in a personal journey, time off or time to educate yourself about that area of interest. I mean, it's really endless. The things that you can consider. It's just a lot of people don't look at the whole package. They just concern themselves with the dollars, and really all those extra things can add up to so much value over the course of your career and help you with, a more balanced work-life balance.
it's so when you talk about work-life balance, what is it that you're specifically referring to?
Yeah,
Because
that's a challenge.
it's really kind of this ominous thing that, it's like, okay, it's not really defined in anybody's book. So what does
Yeah,
that
I
mean to
know.
you?
Well, I'll give you one example. Okay, for myself,
Mhm.
recently our company, we used to work 8:30 to 4:30 every day, Monday
Uh-huh.
to Friday, and then we had summer hours, which were a little different in the summer.
Uh-huh.
But recently they said to us, here's a schedule of different hours that you can work. So, you can pick between all these different options, and then, you can just make sure that you're here on that time, and we'll give it a test run. We'll see how it goes. And so we gave it a test run and everybody was fine.
Uh-huh.
The world didn't fall apart. Everybody was still there during their core hours, but it just makes it easier, if you have to be dropping your kids off and you can't be until later, or
Yeah.
the reverse if you want to be in early to be home for your kids. So it just gives you I guess it's just giving people options to feel like they have a little bit more control over their everyday uh, schedule, I guess.
Well, that was one thing I never really truly understood. I mean, everybody complains about traffic, but
Yeah.
nobody does anything about it. And if companies were just to take a moment and say, let's all have flexible hours. Let's work from, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. And some people would work in the morning, Some people work at night, and employees could actually make adjustments to each department so there's covered,
Yep.
and we could expand that commute or that travel into the office a little different. Or, some people are morning people, some people are
Mhm.
evening people. And it just, to me, it makes a lot of logic. We're
Yeah.
crossing time zones now. We're global organizations. You're probably shipping and moving products and services, across multiple time zones, mostly products, but I can't imagine that it would be a deficit in an organization to be open longer. I don't know. It's just my math thought.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for myself, I come in the morning. I took an early option, so I start at 7, I finish at 3, and that allows me to go home and do what I want to do. I can write, I can do podcasts, I can do blogs, I can prepare for speaking events, whatever I'm trying to get done, and it just makes it a little bit easier for me. But in terms of work, I mean, like you said, in supply chain, it's happening all the time. So I go in the morning, my mailbox is full. Overseas has been chatting to me all night,
Uh-huh.
and I'm okay. I start my day, and they'll get their answer the next day. It's always going to be the next day anyway, right? So
Right.
it really doesn't matter that much for myself. And there's certain areas that if I go in and answer first thing in the morning, it's better because for Finland, for example, they're there for a couple hours, and we can communicate maybe for an hour or two before they end their day.
Yeah.
So it just depends on your job and your industry and what's going on. But I mean, flexibility just helps people feel like they have a little bit more control.
Well, and a mother of 3 boys, you have developed this skill of being flexible, right?
Oh yeah.
Things are going to happen. Life is going to take place, cooking adventures, school, whatever it happens to be. That is a training ground for some of the most arduous and flexible moments of your life. It's like, so you're in the right category. It's like, okay, if I can get 3 boys around town, I can get products from West Coast to East Coast. So it's fantastic. I love that you're now using this skill from your experience and taking it and producing it for other people coming back into the workforce. So is that, do you find a lot of challenges? What's the biggest challenges you come across on a regular basis when you're talking to people about that
Yeah. So
transition?
Yeah, so there's a few things. One is that, all of us somewhere have these huge talents that we don't really highlight, I guess. And
Hmm.
I think when you've had a gap, you're kind of nervous to share what you did during that gap. But whatever it is, I mean, if you cared for an elderly parent, you were scheduling, you were monitoring maybe financial funds, you were, time management, getting just all these kinds of skills that you don't really think are important, but they're so transferable into so many different areas that you really have to highlight that. And then I think the other thing that I want to share is LinkedIn has been wonderful. I think if you really put yourself out there and connect with people, you'll be surprised where it ends up. I want to share just one connection that I did uh, in October of 2018. I reached out to a lady to share my journey, and then we hopped on a Zoom call, and
Hmm.
then we had a podcast together, and then I wrote a couple blogs for them. Then I did another podcast with her. Then I ended up actually going to Chicago to Northwestern University, and I had the opportunity to speak on a panel there about returning to work. And none of this would have happened, Russ, without LinkedIn. I mean, I didn't know this lady. I never heard about her organization, and it all just started with a connection.
We are one conversation away from making a difference in somebody's
Yeah,
life or making a difference in our life, right?
yeah,
And that's all it takes. And I know I sound like a broken record sometimes, but it's really important to reach out if you're thinking about having a conversation with somebody, just have the conversation. You know,
Yeah.
we're all busy. We all have things to do in our life, and if you don't ask, the answer will always be no.
Yeah.
And I don't sell anything per se online because it's just not my style. However, all of my work that comes to me is because I have relationships with people. I've
Mhm.
developed a relationship. People understand how I can help them and what it is that I can help them with. So, reaching out, building those relationships, and then when somebody pops up and says, "I need this help," people reach out to me. And that's the same way with anyone. You have a gift that people can actually come to you and you can help them.
Mhm.
You know, you
Yeah.
can encourage them, you can get them involved in maybe some activities, networking, or involved in a group in LinkedIn. There's all kinds of activities that we have nowadays. So what's your goal for the next 12 to 18 months? What would you like to see happen?
Well, I'm going to try to get some more speaking opportunities, but I have a few things on the go. I have a few more articles that are going to be published in the spring, a couple blogs, and then an article with the Purchasing Association coming out in the spring. I'm going to hop on a radio show with a lady from LinkedIn in the spring. That should be fun. Never
Oh,
done that before.
that's awesome.
So, yeah, I'm just looking to connect with people if they need help on their return to work journey in any way I can help and just have fun with it and see where it goes.
Oh, wow. That's that's awesome. So tell us, before we go away today, I want to make sure that you share a few nuggets of knowledge that, you want to leave with the world and make sure that we have some Lisa wisdom to go about our day. So what would be the biggest thing that you'd want to share with the pirate community today?
Well, I think we're just hard on ourselves. Sometimes we just don't give ourselves enough credit. Like I mentioned, share those skills that you think might not be important because they actually are, and just have fun with it. Go out there and, reach out to people. Like I said on LinkedIn, just have fun and learn and help others. And I don't think you can go wrong.
No, no. I love the idea and the journey of learning. I love learning and I love being curious. I love being curious about what other people are doing like yourself. I love finding out a little bit more about what you're doing and then hopefully get to shine the light on what you're doing and hopefully that'll bring some new conversations to the table.
Oh, thank you so much, Russ. It's been so much fun being here today.
Well, we ran into a couple of challenges, and you know what? We can get past that, and we can do multiple shows in the future. So as you grow and expand your business, and you have more conversations, and you're on radio shows and everything else, just remember me, the little guy here at the pirate broadcast, and say thanks. Thanks, I was a pirate. I'm a pirate still.
Well, actually was almost a pirate this morning. Remember my earring?
Yes. That's so fun. Well, thank you, Lisa, so much for being here. I really appreciate you and everything you're doing and all the, gratitude in the world for the people that have joined us here. And let's go out in the world and make it matter because you know what? Kindness is cool. Smiles are free. So thank you so much for being here, Lisa.
Thank you
I,
so much, Russ.
I
Enjoy
love our
your day.
connection and I look forward to our next conversation. Take care.